Nell Fletcher is out of order. I personally think that she is male identified and will blame everybody, then allow her man to take responsibility for what he said out of his own mouth.
I kind of feel sorry for you. Oh, yeah.
Nobody put pressure on that man. He said what he said, and he meant what he said, in my own opinion. I feel like she's just trying to clean it up now because it got called out. We're going to get into it, but hey, lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's talk about what Nell had to say when she was doing a recap of the show with Carlos King and the rest. Please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post. I'll talk about Nell practically blaming Melody for the comments that Chris made. But before that, let me talk about some of the things that did come up in the episode. So make sure you watch the video until the end. So let's talk about what she has to say about Lance and helping with his newborn. So Carlos brought up the fact that people were wondering why Nell would want to volunteer to take care of Lance's kid, considering he's been married twice, he has 2 kids, he should be able to take care of his children. Nell agreed with Carlos about that, but she also said that Lance is a hard worker. He can be working from sun up to sundown, and that's why she volunteered to help him. I did think it was interesting that he has joint custody with his children, which I think is good. But then the last child, it feels like he has temporary full custody and it's going back to court soon. So my question is, I don't know how and why he has temporary full custody. So I feel like there has to be a story there. And because I just don't know a newborn who is placed with their father in such an interesting situation where most newborns will need their mother, all that kind of stuff. So it's I find that very odd. But I don't know if we're going to get more information on that. Carlos did ask her, as a married woman who has opened up about infidelity in her marriage, what is worse, physical cheating or emotional cheating? My thing is, why is this question being asked? I've seen this question being asked a lot of times recently, and I'm just like, both are absolutely disrespectful and are impactful, right? So saying like one is sad over the other, one is worse than the other, they are both terrible. And I like that she struggled to answer the question, although I would have just said like, yeah, nah. But she finally said that both are terrible. And then she talks about women being very emotional. I can't lie. I hate when people say women are very emotional because I feel like I've seen a lot of men that are very emotional. People feel like anger is an emotion. And you call women emotional because they have more of a tenderness towards other people and they have more of that nurturing element. But then men being very angry, being very projecting as very aggressive, all of those things involve emotions. And I've seen a lot of like actions that are taken by so-called men who are in their emotions. And so I just feel like both genders are emotional. It just shows up differently to different people. And I feel like for the longest time, basically saying that men are physical and women are emotional is a propaganda that has been pushed to excuse men who cheat and excuse those sorts of behaviors and excuse them not showing up emotionally in a relationship. And that is something I am not falling for personally. Am I saying that there are no differences between the genders? Absolutely. I believe that there are differences, but I feel like saying and classifying women as being emotional and men as being physical is not the right way to go about it. But you guys can argue with me in the comment section respectfully, of course. Now let's move on to Nell shading Destiny. I feel like Nell makes me laugh because Nell says certain things that makes me think, why would you say that and then say that this person is your friend? You have a very weird way of showing friendship. If you think it's okay to say certain things and joke about certain things, but that person is still your friend. So to give you some context, Dustin basically jokes that Destiny had seen like those things in Lance, basically Lance being a hard worker and who likes to take care of his kids, show up to work every day. And she was like, sign me up for this, right? And she gets it now. And Nell was basically saying that Lance had told her that Destiny wants to bill a man, and that her and Destiny are still friends. If my friend said publicly that her son said that I'm trying to bill him, I will feel some type of way. I would be like, even if your child said that, there is no reason for you to bring that up and say that publicly, especially when I know you did not have the conversation with me to clarify whether I feel like I was trying to bill him. So it's just like, why put me in that situation? This is why I say she has a very weird way of showing her friendship, because how can you be out here saying that she's still your friend, but then insinuating that she likes to bill a man? Like, okay, I don't think I would appreciate that from a friend. But maybe I just have high expectations in my friends. Maybe that's what it is. Now, she did say something that I definitely get. She said she didn't want them to deal with themselves because she didn't want to be in the middle and have to hear both sides. I completely get what she's saying. I feel like as someone who has been in the middle of a sibling dating a friend of mine, I absolutely hated it. I do not like to be in the middle of ish like that, especially when I'm not trying to put myself in the middle, but somebody is calling me talking about the other person and I'm just like, I do not want to hear it. I wish that these people will consult us before they get into situations and then be calling us in the middle of their ish to try to settle or be the moderator. I'm just like, I ain't trying to moderate ish. Do your thing and leave me out of it. Luckily, nobody's dating. They're not dating each other anymore, so I don't have to worry about that. Now, this is the part that really irritated me as a person, just personally, right? Carlos was basically asking her about the whole NDA situation. And Carlos then asked Nell if she understands their point of view or if she's upset that, or if she was just upset that Tisha was all up in her husband's face. Now, of course, she wasn't exactly happy about Tisha being in her husband's face. And can you blame her? I will not be okay with anyone being in even my friend's face like that. That is just entirely too much and unnecessary, not to talk of a husband. So yeah, please get away from my husband's face. So I get that, and I'm with Nell on that. Now, Nell did say that she understood where they were coming from, and she even called out Chris for saying what he said. She said that she feels like Chris didn't know what he was doing when he was having a conversation basically with Melody, because he was new to this, and let her sidetrack him into like the mess. And I'm just thinking, girl, you are out of your mind, respectfully, because I know she's an elder, so I want to be respectful as possible. I think she is absolutely on left field with this, because how can you practically blame Melody for something that your husband said out of his own mouth? He is a grown-ass man. He is not a child that should not know what comes out of his mouth. He is an adult. If at his grown big age, he does not know to say what he means and mean what he says, then I don't know when he is going to grow up. And this is what I mean when I say I feel like Nell is male identified, because only a male identified woman will blame the woman instead of thinking, okay, what did my husband do wrong? Why did he say what he said out of his mouth? Not blame the woman who is calling him out about something that he did. Have you been in a situation where this man came to disturb you? You did not even know he was dating anybody. Now the girlfriend or the wife is calling you and cursing you out, and you're thinking, what, he's married? That is the vibe it gives me. Not saying it's the same situation, but I hate when women can't face the man that is guilty of whatever it is, but instead they will blame the woman. Oh, she seduced him. Like, girl, please. Your man should have stayed doing what he was supposed to be doing. And that's how I feel about this whole Nell conversation. He's an adult. He is an adult with grandchildren, okay? Grandchildren. So it is not acceptable to try to say that, or try to insinuate that, he's not really a vet, and she sidetracked the conversation and caught him slipping. Like, please. It's like, why do we make excuses? And I just say we as a community, why do we make excuses for men? when these men are meant to be leading and showing up as leaders in the society and showing up properly as men, and then you're making excuses for them that a little old Melody would be out here trying to sidetrack him in a conversation. Now, first of all, me saying little old Melody is not a shade. I'm just trying to say that it doesn't make sense that a woman, you're trying to like blame her or try to move it or make it come across as she I don't want to say coerced, but like cajoled him a little bit or encouraged him a little bit. Like it's like, or set him up a little bit. Like, no, that is entirely too much. Now, she didn't say those words. I want to be clear. I just feel like I did not like the insinuations. This is my opinion. I did not like the insinuations because I felt like it was taking responsibility away from Chris, who said those words. Chris should be held accountable. Hun, why did you say these things? Do you believe them to be true? These are the questions I want answers to, instead of trying to deflect and completely move the goalpost yet again. Nell basically said she can't say the conversation without parsing. Of course, we know she's talking about Mel. He didn't do a good job with the conversation in handling his words, with the pro, because he was basically sitting down with her pro, and he effed himself up. And that's the thing. And I know it sounds like she's saying, oh, he effed up, he effed himself up, blah, blah, blah. He was sitting with a pro, all of that. But that is very a backhanded way of practically blaming Melody, in my opinion. But I'll let you tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, let's shift gears a little bit to her and this whole Tisha nonsense. So Nell does say that she did tell Tisha to say something to her husband, but she didn't expect her to go straight up attacking, trying to be in Chris's face. She thought that Tisha was going to pull Chris to the side to have a side conversation. But instead, she was all up in his face. Carlos then moved on and talked about the energy at the one-on-one sit-down that they had. He asked what was going on and why couldn't they come to an agreement. Nell basically was saying that Chris met up with Marceau in Atlanta when she got her breast implants done. She said that there were many people who don't believe that she was in Atlanta with Chris, but she has receipts to prove it. She was in the Airbnb. Chris went to meet Marceau because they were talking about potentially building black in Atlanta. So they were looking at homes, and then they went out to eat at Atlanta Fish Market. Apparently, they were away for like 2 hours tops. Chris came back home to take care of her. She also then talked about like when Tisha was asking Marceau about the whole thing, he paused for a long time. And this is the thing, Marceau does that a lot. And I feel like he does that when he doesn't want to answer the question and he's trying to deflect. But he also wants it to be clear that, okay, I'm basically answering this question under duress. So whatever I say, you can't hold it as a fact. It's like nobody really believes he's telling the truth, especially when he hesitates. So I don't blame Nell for thinking that he was guilty as well. So she felt like he looked guilty as hell and he was trying to bring Chris into it. And that is exactly what happened. It felt like for the first time, Tisha was like cornering him. Normally, Tisha keeps it vague. He deflects and they move on and act like we're all oblivious and we don't know what is going on. It's happened one too many times when Tisha tries to confront Marceau. Marceau doesn't answer the question. Marceau deflects. Tisha buys it. We move on, do it again. So I felt like this particular time, she was asking a direct question. Who were you with in Atlanta? So, of course, he pauses and then eventually says, Chris. Like, no one believed that it was Chris. Let's be honest. Everyone pretty much just thought he was just trying to save his behind and thought that he could use somebody that will back him up in that situation. Let's be clear. I don't know no grown man that will be out here taking a picture of Marceau's back for him. Certainly, I don't get the impression that Fletcher would be doing that. So we could reach a conclusion that there was somebody else that took the picture, because it definitely did not look like a picture that was taken by a tripod. But who knows? Maybe it was taken by a tripod. It's all speculation, right? Who knows? But one thing is, I don't get the impression that Chris Fletcher would be out here in a hotel room with Marceau or Airbnb with Marceau, taking a picture of Marceau's back. But that's, if Tisha wants to believe that, that's her business. If she wants to stay delulu about it, that is okay. That is her life. Like, at the end of the day, we should not be so concerned about someone's life more than they are concerned about their lives. If they're not concerned, why should I be concerned? If she's not concerned about her husband cheating, then I don't think anybody should be concerned about them cheating. Now, Dustin chimes in and asks Nell what she means by saying Kimmi and Tisha have not been transparent with what is going on in their lives. And this is why sometimes I like Dustin, because I feel like he sometimes asks questions that it feels like Carlos is not really asking. And yeah, so I feel like I appreciated him asking that. 'Cause sometimes with these recap episodes, I don't really feel like I'm learning anything new. And so I do appreciate when he asks questions that I feel like push the conversation forward so we know what is being said, as opposed to the insinuations that we get on the show, right? So Nell basically said for Kimmi to say she thinks they don't want to talk about their husband's cheating. She says she understands it's hard and they don't have to, but they shouldn't be like over there trying to talk about her family, her kids, her grandson. But when it comes to their husbands, they're hush-hush about it. And I agree with that. I feel like it's a double standard. If you don't want to talk about your ish, then don't bring my ish up. But if you want to talk about my ish, best believe we're all talking about your ish. And so I'm with Nell on that, actually. Nell also said she feels like she gets shut down whenever she speaks on anything that has been said in the social media streets, or in the streets or social media. Nell also said she told Tisha in the last episode that they're always talking about her family and kids. And her response was, we will, we do, and we will. And this is why I feel like, you all know I've been saying I feel like Tisha feels like she is now going to be Mel 2.0, because which you're never going to be, honey, because you just don't get it. Because why are you out here saying to the woman, we do and we will? And I feel like this is why there shouldn't be two Scots on the show, because, or two sets of Scots on the show, right? Because it is so unequally yoked that these people can practically team up to come against anybody on the show, as long as they present a united front. And so that's why I feel like it's the worst mistake that Carlos made for the show. And I just wish that that never happened. You should have kept just one. And if you wanted to have the others, let them be a friend of the show, not actual couples on the show. And I do like the fact that it feels like Nell is going to be holding their feet to the fire, because Nell was like, yeah, nah, we gonna talk about everybody's business. And you know, we're not going to talk about just me. We're going to talk about your business as well. So we'll see how long that lasts for. But if Nell ever leaves the show, I do not know what will happen when it comes to like conversations, because we know they do not like to show nothing genuine that they have going on. But in a way, I wish that Nell would leave so that they would be forced to try to show a little bit more, or Carlos would be forced to make them show a little bit more, because so far we're getting nothing from the Scots, yet they are trying to dominate the show. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, and tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post and go live. And also, please let me know what you think. Like I said, we keep it respectful over here. You can disagree with us, it's opinions. At the end of the day, we're happy to listen to and interact with other different opinions, but please keep it respectful. And I'll see you guys in the chat. Thank you. Bye.